best to kind of fight back at 17, try to get the opportunities to knocks, but they just were not giving it to them.
There is a world where if 17 didn't finish that as fast, Uba could have gotten into a better position to really cause some issues for them. So just how clean and quick they did that, but that's it. Let's go, Tego.
So Tego is going to be very interesting. Not only is this our first time seeing this map internationally, but we know that quite a few spots were being contested, specifically looking at Terminal between like 17 and 4 a.m.
So drops coming in, we're going to be following all of the usual suspects. There's so many different things to be looking at on this map. Hot drops being one of them. Location contesting. First circle is going to be a key factor. We also do have a lot of the water that's going to be coming through off of this one. Notice we do have the canal, river, whatever you want to call it, that's going to be cutting through. So loot, get control quickly because we see a lot of early game fights on this map.
Yeah, we do. So it does look like for the most part, though, Terminal is actually going to be somewhat uncontested there. 4 a.m. have actually shifted to the north to Yongchan. So that's going to be really good for them. And then phase looting, my favorite part of the map, which is going to be Buksansa.
See that we've got Tyloo, DK, and Cerberus that were kind of looking similar pathing. LG decides that they're just going to cut into the west, so if you're looking for them, they're kind of underneath the picture-in-picture that's going to be to the left over there. But also notice that players were in the air for a bit longer than normal. That was just kind of scouting where landing was happening. Nobody really wanting to do a contested hot drop off the start. Better to instead loot slower and safer instead of just jump right up on top of somebody. As Shilla trying to make some use out of that, but those cars are going to cut out, and Circle's going to go pretty centered on top.
Yeah, and in talking to Trevor, actually, you know, they were really comfortable for LG dropping here on the west side of the map. They have really good rotations coming off that as well, and so I'm really looking for LG to kind of make their way in. Again, their biggest strength has always been finding the best windows of opportunity, not only to rotate, but to start team fights, and they have a really actually solid position there on the west side to come in from, especially with the circle. The one thing I do worry about, though, is the fact that this is, again, being cut in the center by that, I say river, it's more of like a puddle, but
it's a slow creek. We've got one that runs through the family ranch over there. Whenever it's raining, yeah, okay, there's something there. Whenever it's not, okay, just kind of walk through it and your boots get muddy kind of situation. Looking out, you were talking about the strength and how much you like Terminal. We saw 17 Gaming. That's their de facto drop right now, and coming in with some momentum off that last game, as well as getting Terminal, is going to be a team to keep an eye on.
We've also seen 17 in the past, specifically like when they fought at Sonics in one of the international events. I mean, no one really wants to mess too much with 17, even though we have seen 4 a.m. do very well against them regionally.
See that, and this is the benefit of it. There's just so much loot, and given the fact that this could technically probably support two different teams, the fact that it's just one team that's getting it all is so ridiculously good.
希望能保持 PGSE 的赛跃啊、手感，然后团队配合都保持下去，然后争取取得卫冕冠军。我觉得能够进入 PGS2 的总决赛，每一支队伍都很强，都有自己擅长的战术，所以说虽然很强，但我们也不会畏惧任何一支战队。在这次 PGS2 中，我们肯定也会突破 PGS1 的我们，就更上一层楼。
I mean, that would be incredibly impressive if they surpassed their PGS1 performance, because I don't know if you know this, but they won that event.
Just a solid performing squad right now, so we'll have to see how everything moves in, as the first game wasn't necessarily the best, but come on, we're playing through a group stage. First couple of games always going to be a bit messy, but I know that there's probably a lot of fantasy points riding on the line for some of these members, specifically whenever we start looking at more of the international stage. We often see that Tego be an early rotating map. I think that with what we're seeing with the water coming through the river, creek, whatever you want to call it, that's cutting through the middle of the map, making that 50-50, there's a lot more hesitation this time, and everybody kind of waiting to see how this is going to go down.
Well, on top of the fact that the elevations of Tego are very much different than we see on most maps like Miramar, even Erangel. It's more of a gradual elevation. There's no real like just cliff sides. Aside from some of the stuff on the south, I mean, even if you look at like the area just south of Army Base, it's pretty much just a gradual rise up in forestation, and that area, it's pretty open. Like what you see here in front of LG is how a lot of that terrain on the hillside happens to be. Is now Lou from Twisted Minds is going to be taking shots, trying to get rid of LG potentially coming in to crash their compound.
Yeah, LG made a cross over the bridge that's just to the west of where we saw those shots coming in, while Twisted Minds going to go ahead and shoo them out and force them to regroup just a bit. Nothing too crazy right now, as though it's more just a, no, this is mine, you get out of here style of fighting. No firm commitments coming out just quite yet. No. GP is going to be to the north of this, but that's really the only contested that we might see in that area, and that's not even going to be a lot.
Yeah, and as I said, LG is perfectly comfortable playing from this compound as well. They have a good place to rotate from if they want to, so they're just going to chill there on the west side. And I'm not really worried about this at all, especially if they get a nice split, which it looks like they are going to go for. They are very close to Sarvum, though, but at the very least, the circle now, there's no reason for them to fight.
And Moss going back to the lobby here in just 1 second. Wouldn't be too surprised whenever that goes down. It should be pointed out as well that Twisted Minds that we see kind of roaming around does have themselves Palace to play around. So a very complex section of the map that if we see the circle go into this direction is very, I guess, it's a very interesting place to try to defend if you can get the good lines into it. But Falcon's going to go ahead and bring themselves out some toys. Not going to go ahead and get the car flip yet. Emmy did go down, but that's a good way to say, no, Tai Lu, you don't come over here anymore. We kind of need a second.
Xiao Yang trying to support there, getting Shen out of that position. He is kind of stuck. He's got to back up, but the spray, Capitan actually finds himself on the side of this. A nice little flank position there.
Xiao Yang now in a lot of trouble, has to figure out what he wants to do. It looks like he's headed into the north. Capitan in that flank position now getting a bit more assaulted by the other members of Tai Lu, forcing him back into that hillside. But this now means the 2-1 split that we see coming out is, this is interesting, as just to the north of this, we do have Cerberus, who's playing along that line, and Navi's just going to be the east. So I like this coming out from Tai Lu. Don't overcommit. Not worth trying to breach in. Your initial kind of feelers into it already cost you 1 member. It's just going to get worse from here.
That was a very expensive mistake there, though, from Tai Lu. Losing Shen on that team is pretty devastating. Obviously, the other 3 very capable fraggers, but yeah, Shen going down there early is not ideal for Tai Lu.
I mean, also you got to give respect. Falcons and that Capitan flank was just so well executed in position. Really exploits it as now GP is going to be running through LG, who are kind of eyeing a different angle. So it looks like GP is going to sneak this one by. The problem is, GP, where are you going to go? Remember, it was Twisted Minds that were taking shots at LG just a moment ago. So that's going to be the new replacement coming down into it. And if anything, LG's like, hey, thanks for doing our scouting for us.
Yeah, LG is actually hurting GP into the direction there of Twisted Minds, but threading the needle is GP done really well here, actually. They're going to go right through. They're kind of coming underneath Sarvum, but they're going to land right at Palace. And nice. That's a nice rotation. I can't hate that.
And this is what I'm talking about. Like, Palace is really, really strong if you can defend it. But whenever we saw the 2-2 split coming out from Twisted Minds early, they weren't expecting somebody to make a commitment into an urban position at this stage. This is pretty uncommon for, I guess, the meta of competitive PUBG.
Well, the fact that it even got through, nice knock there from Spyro, is, again, pretty well done there from the side of GP, but now they're going to have to deal with Twisted Minds slowly starting to try to pick them apart. But being on those rooftops, I don't think they're going to commit too much, so at the very least, GP will be able to recover.
SRM does hear this and is kind of venturing in to defend the north. The other 2 members for Twisted Minds are like, nah, man, you got this.
Yeah.
We trust you. Just don't let them get you, and we'll be good. So
hey,
they're still keeping an eye out
back
over into LG.
It's a throwback from one of my very early teams. Don't let him get you.
Don't let them get you.
As Batulin now taking some shots there, finding a good bit of damage there. But yeah, they're just going to back up. They have the rooftops. There's no real reason, especially as just a duo, for them to get too aggressive here. But they do need to be wary of GP potentially making a push onto their position there.
North of the river is where all the chaos is happening. South of the river is far more quiet as they're kind of just listening in and giving each other the evil eye. Not too much else happening with that one. Is the Palace being the place that's popping off right now, as it's where the party is definitely going down. So we're seeing even more of a commitment. Chilla was really contemplating moving more aggressive into that Palace line, but I guess he doesn't have the, you can see him up on top of that hill. He doesn't have the angle that he wants to work with, but as Toffees talks about a lot, the trees kind of get thicker the further up you go on this hillside, so it provides Chill a couple of different ways to kind of angle down into this, but he doesn't want to overcommit, because if he does go down, it's going to be so hard to res.
Yeah, it will be. And now moving over towards FaZe and Na'Vi, and this is on the south side of Palace, of that river, as we see Vex and the rest of FaZe actually with a very wide split here, and this is good. This is good for control. There's really not that much of a threat for them to lose any members here, and they can support each other from that. So at the very least, everyone at this point is just waiting for that circle to shift.
Cerberus is holding down actually a very important
I like this
position,
too, yeah.
Because if we do see this go north, it's not necessarily a bridge camp location, but it is a control point that is very, very strong to play around. Yes, there are some bridges, and especially if you got Haisaki's toys to play with too, right?
Especially if you have an Om in your hand, that's definitely not bad, but Fortunately, Cerberus did lose a member early with Hamas going down, so they still have a strong position at the very least, but Circle is going to close here, and this is going to be where we start to see some of those problematic rotations coming out from teams kind of left on the edge.
Remind everybody to go ahead and open up the Esports map as well, so that way you can keep an eye on everything that's going to be going through. 4 a.m. is playing the north right along that kind of eastern front in the curve where it makes like the S out, so they're going to get a lot of control and vision. Remember Gustav in his interview just a second ago also talking about the fact that he's a bit more free to do like bigger plays. Well, he's definitely a lot more free in this position. As you can see, he's playing very far to the north.
Oh my goodness, what the hell is that shift?
Cerberus feeling a lot better. Twisted Mind's going to go ahead and regroup real quick. A lot of people already inside of vehicles. You can see that it's going to be Forrest already cutting down through here. 4 Angry Men were playing along that curve point that we were talking about a second ago. Looking at your map, you know, those things just come out of nowhere, man. You got to be careful.
That was disgusting, the way that...
Twisted Mind and the Cerberus, though, this could be a moment for that AWM choke.
No, they're going to cut off. They know there's a team that's got to be in that. Yeah, there's no way they try to drive through that. Hisaki trying to find a very cheeky little knock there with that but again, they're just going to be holding down this with no issues really. Twisted going up to their left, and then LG we saw actually rotating back off that bridge on the west side.
I have a small problem for you, SRM. What Twisted Minds just did, kind of opened the doors, and now you can see Twisted Minds stopping, being more comfortable. SRM wants to do the same idea after Cerberus already has kind of taken a defensive line against it. And that might be a bigger problem for them to have to navigate. 17 also going to be pathing in along northern coast. SRM going to cut in the same path, though. They're going to lean far more into the coast, but see, Lou's now going to have a bit of vision into this. He's got himself a nice trap position, so the gauntlet going to be quite strong. As 2 members from Twisted Minds going to be to the south of this Perfectus, very far over to the west, as LG is going to be what he's having to contest with.
Yeah, and you can start to see a lot of the issues here with this terrain. It's very flat for the most part, and there's really not that much cover at all. As Spyro taking shots at SRM, finding themselves in the rice paddies, and he's going to find a beautiful knock there onto Global Army.
Just continuing to rain in some damage. Tycon getting closer and closer by.
Here comes GP.
Yeah, and add in some more, and they've got up in the air. They've decided that they're going to crash into this. They should spot out the smokes, though, so they're not going to commit into that drop. I have to assume they're going to shift out. But remember, Navi and they were positioning that we saw a second ago. They're falling into more of the Uba line, so remember that AWM as well. It could come up a really big. Uba's kind of watching them falling down and thinking, hey, maybe I can pick up some free loot if I can line into this one, but realizes he's probably outnumbered, hops in the vehicles, and decided he's going to regroup instead.
I mean, GP find themselves in a decent position for now, but is that Hisaki with an and a P90? What is that, a raid boss? That is ridiculous. Is Alia now taking some fire? And look at this. LG is going to be scouting out Twisted. They know that they're going to be in that fishing camp. And right now, they don't necessarily need to make any crazy plays. They have a good position. Really, they need to worry about their back with Theraton 5 rotating in on the west bridge.
And SRM's life's not going to get much better. And yeah, you're right. Hisaki got the double presence. Doesn't have too much ammo left right now. Looks like we do see Shilla have to play back that nade, man. Doing some big work on the Baron Peak. He ain't going to be peeking that corner too much longer, as we do see a chain of crates going to be landing. A reminder to everybody, those aren't like the big boy crates. That's just kind of a spattering of a whole bunch of different stuff inside.
It's like a couple big boy. I mean, obviously that's where Hisaki got his toys from, but nice nade from the man we are speaking of, as Sarvim is just getting berated and assaulted here with utility, multiple knocks, and this is going to become a big problem.
And everybody just stacked up into that corner right now. Hisaki just continuing to make a mini red zone. He's just got everything in the world that you could want to play with right now, as they are still going to be able to defend up. While this is happening, though, TE is going to be trying to make a move in back behind Cerberus in the position that we saw playing on Bridge a second ago. And they're going to be kind of more directed in their pathing, stopping just to the north of this compound. And that might be great for SRM, provide some form of relief.
It might just be, and as we now look at this shift, look at the way Theraton 5 have actually taken this position on the west on top of LG, and that's going to center in right on Batulin and Spyro.
We've got a no man's land down to the southwest. As you can see, it's going to be LG and T5 that are trying to make their passing through. Cerberus trying to eye what's going on to the north, as it is going to be TE. I don't even think that TE needs to move anymore. This is a great spot.
No, they're fine. Yeah, they're okay for now. Definitely a strong position. Sarvim just trying to survive. At the very least, they've gotten 4 members up.
All of this is great, but I'm just going to forewarn you guys. We've got FaZe, we've got Falcons, we've got Forest, 4 a.m., and Petrichor Road all playing to the south after the circle shift is going to come in. Everything has pretty much got some type of team right along the edge, so this is going to get spicy pretty quick, as T plus Kia taking the shots at a T5, as T5 trying to cross over a very open area, and you can see regretting it fast.
Yeah, and the more that they're driving around, the more chances they are of just getting knocked and losing members here, and that's That's the kind of consequence of this circle. This is a very difficult circle to rotate in, Matt. There's really not that much playable area aside from what's pretty much already been taken.
We've got a couple of hillsides that are going to break out stuff. Most notably, the one that Navi's playing from is kind of going to be a sightline break. So a couple of teams might be able to hide in and around that. This is what we were talking about down in Hosan itself, is we've got this phase Falcon fight that's brewing and slowing down both of their rotations, while Petrichor Road is making the send in just to the west of them, opposite side of TL. But Forest is also pathing closer to this by the second. And Capitan really wanting to get the flush
To
on
that
that.
point, yeah.
It's just like baiting him right there on the side of. He's like, finally got it.
Will you just die, man, please? As here comes Petrichor, they're going to have to thread a very difficult needle here as they head towards Sarvam.
Oh, no.
Twisted
No.
Minds as
Not
well.
SRM. Out of everybody, it's going to be SRM again. Rolls in. Nate's going to come out. And Petrichor Road just rolls out with bullets. Trying to take it down. But look at the defensive line. It is Petrichor Road coming apart. Only Summer still alive. He's going to go down. And that was a combined effort from near on everybody in the map to say, nah, that was too aggressive.
Perfectus and the rest of actually the members there of Twisted doing a massive helping job there towards Sarvam, keeping them alive even though they were harassing them earlier, as Jeems will find Silzen off in the distance.
Potential follow-ups for that is we still have Forest as well as Falcon's Phase going to be moving 4AMs, moving more aggressively into this position. You can see them popping up on the mini-map just to the north. That's what got Falcon's attention right now. Phase, though, with just their two members having to be, I guess, cautious in this, is now Forest making their run right next to TL. Pretty close as Scappy is not feeling too good. Jumps out of the vehicle. That happened. He was already so
He
low.
was low. That's not what we want to see, though. Scappy going to go down. Mistake from him there. He's going to pay for it as well as the rest of Forest. I mean, that was a difficult rotation for them to make in, especially with Tai Lu just sitting on the south side, ready to gatekeep that all day long.
All right, so Muntel's going to be able to pass through. DK is just going to be the north of that. That's going to make that his time in this world doesn't feel too much longer, as even Na'Vi, if he manages to pass by them, there's going to be T5 follow-up. New Circle is going to shift down to the south. No surprises.
This is a rough circle to play, man. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Yeah, Navi's hillside is going to be big to keep an eye on moving forward.
Yeah, Na'Vi is going to have a hell of a job trying to hold that against all the other teams that will need to come in from the south, whether it's Tai Lu or D plus Kia, even Theraton 5 if they want to make some sort of push after D plus Kia moves in. But I'm also looking at LG. They have a hell of a rotation in front of them.
I gotta say, I'm impressed with SRM surviving for as long as they have.
Yeah.
I don't know how much meds they have. If anything, the crash that just happened for them was a blessing in disguise, as they finally got some more meds, armor, something to work with.
I mean, some of their members are on their third Nox, I think, at this point. Which, as soon as you go down, Snakers, though, going to find Rosseted there. That's going to be nice, but they still need to do a lot more, as that's just T5 rotating in front of them.
17's positioning on this is making it kind of awkward for TE. 17's playing more to the south, which means that they're eyeing into 4AM, and they're starting to exchange some bullets, with kind of slows down a lot of what's going to be happening here, and that allows TE to make the shift in, as Cerberus still being the focal point of so much, as Batulin's going to go ahead and hit himself into a vehicle explosion, take down Pathmon.
Yeah, and LG has pretty much taken over where T5 had initially gone. They're just on the west side of the hill that Twisted are in. And I think Relo's even kind of eyeing the north side, seeing if there's a possibility for them to go play over there on the other side of that hill, which would potentially be strong for them. But again, they would have to deal with TE on the other side.
This is just getting more and more compressed to the south, most notably. And so many of these teams are kind of being forced into this. Munto's going to be down. DK's having some issues over here. Theraton 5. So you're trying to navigate through this Na'Vi low ground position. This is about the only safe place that they could have potentially found, and they're not going to be peeking out for this for a while. I mean,
safe is relative,
yeah,
but
I mean,
at least they're alive.
Place you got, right?
Yeah, at least they're alive.
They're not. I guess actually, oddly enough, SRM is in a very strong position now.
I mean, even still, yeah, just to the south there of Cerberus. And yeah, it looks like LG is actually opting for that northern shift. I saw Rilo looking at it the whole time, and I really like this from them. It's probably their best option, as long as they consolidate the other two members there, as D plus Kia also making their move.
With eyeing what was going on with TE and them shifting more to the east, if they saw that, that was a perfect opportune reposition onto it. The problem is,
go boys, go.
Twisted Minds making their life a bit more difficult. They've got this hillside that they've been cowering behind for right now, but they're going to have to cross, and you can see these vehicles aren't necessarily the happiest, but there's a ridgeline that they can kind of use. They just have to play very, very carefully for the time being, and it looks like they should be able to regroup and crest into this hill, and
I really like this from them. I really, really like this rotation.
it's going to be them and kind of Na'Vi playing on the top of everything, looking down into the valley where everybody else is going to be real sad.
And now Falcons, I think, just down to Capitan potentially. This fight between FaZe and Falcons on the southeast is just going on for ages. Pretty much almost the start of the game as they've been rotating in. And that's going to be another southern shift. And this is going to pose so many problems. 44 alive. There is, I promise you, there is not enough space to play. Not only that, but this is a very open circle.
If we end up with more than 15 or 20, I'm going to be astounded, as it is going to be 17 that does their shift in initially. As you can see, the reason why this FaZe and Falcons fight was going on for so long, they've got 4 angry men that are sitting right next to him that are now being harassed by 17. FaZe still not capable of making too big of a move as James Gustav kind of caught out on this Tai Long, also taking some pot shots into him. And this is going to be the nature of the beast for the rest of this game. You see these hills, people leaning into cars, whatever divots they can find, that's the new lifestyle.
I do want to talk about 4AM's rotation, though, because they were very late, and the fact that they were able to take their time and kind of thread that needle on the east side was very impressive. And now they do have to deal with 17, though, who are very comfortably in a strong position in this circle, and they're going to be taking shots here at Jalu from Little Ghost.
There's also a big opportunity for James to make something happen the longer this happens. Also, Capitan, the entirety of this time that 4AM keeps having to creep away from 17's position, good old Capitan is getting, they're kind of creeping into his area. So there's a couple of thorns that can just suddenly appear in the path of what 4AM is trying to do.
Expendables as well. I'm looking at them. Their rotation in is going to be very rough as the other duo of 17 looking straight at them. They're going to need to find a knock here if they're going to come in on the east.
We got Twisted Minds going ahead and hopping in vehicles while they're making the rotation. You can see LG already inside their vehicles making a quick pass. This is the circle, guys. Look at it right now. Where do you go? And that's what LG is trying to figure out. They've got their eyes set on a prize, and they're going to be sending it all the way to the south. It looks like they're going to be going right next to where Dakbu is going to be. He's trying to bend in. Spray's going to calm out. He doesn't manage to take down Rello. Looks like he's trying to go for the flush, and suddenly everybody else from LG just pops out and says, no, we want this rock because that's all there is.
Yeah, and honestly, losing Rello there is... it's the lesser of two evils, the other one being they're just getting completely wiped, so they will at the very least find a good position to play for now.
GP playing the opposite position from where we see LG kind of hunkered in. Tai Lu had to just kind of watch that happen. Not too much that could be done. 4 angry men still making everything's life terrible as far as FaZe goes. James going to go down. Gustav just going to have to try to figure out some way to path in. TE trying to make his play into this one. 17 Gaming having to contest in. This has been a fight that was brewing for quite a while as TE has been kind of hurting 17 this direction. But remember, GP is also now starting to play the eastern side of their hill.
Yeah.
So this is a lot more like trench warfare than it is hilltop warfare.
17 doing a good job for the time being, as you said, holding off that push, but I do worry about them, especially with GP on the other side. Twisted, meanwhile, has just been so devastating on the west side. They've caused all of these difficult rotations for these teams.
But their life is getting harder as now they're having to test in with Na'Vi, who's creeping into the north. You can see 17 getting picked apart by these repositions. It's just kind of a leapfrog setup that we see coming up from the Expendables. They're just popping in, taking some shots, repositioning, taking some more every single time they get a knock or a position in. Just one member up for 17, and look at all of the Expendables trying to exploit it. Nades coming in, still just trying to hold the line. Does get the knock onto one, but there's still more to happen. The circle pops, it goes to the south, so even this is not inside the safe zone. It's holding it together. He does not want to go down. He wants vengeance. He put up one hell of a fight.
The amount of damage he did to multiple teams there was disgusting, but the Expendables, as I said, if they could get those knocks, they'd be able to make the push, and they do. Beautiful stuff for them, but the circle has shifted south yet again, and LG with that rotation earlier.
Oh my God.
Finds himself alive in Sarva. Global Army, how do you do it?
They managed to survive in a fight that was longer than Wano. Only one of them walking away, but finally Cerberus goes down. Issue is they still need to rotate out, and Na'Vi as well as TE are going to be watching.
Na'Vi cleaning up that northwest. I cannot believe still Global Army and just Sarvam have survived from the amount of harassment they took earlier. Very impressive. Even if he goes down now, he has done his job.
Most of our eyes are going to need to be drawn down to the south. We do have Na'Vi that's going to need to rotate. Remember that we do have Forest and Master, the last one that's still up over there. 4AM is now shifted right back into that position that FaZe was trying to approach. And Luminosity Gaming having to deal with GP in close range, though. As you can see, it's not going too well. Dip's not going to be enough. They're going to get taken out. GP, 4 angry men going to be looking in. And TE, they're on a tear over here right now. They're kind of watching everything, and this game is starting to feel more and more theirs.
4AM, though, they have not had to contest with too much of what's been happening here, and so they have 5 kills already and still very much healthy. 3 helmet invest there, as you see on Crazy 112. But as you said, the Expendables now starting to come up behind them.
they have just been pathing through everything. Delwyn is way up to the north, like what, almost 200 meters away from the rest of the squad. Before Angry Men looking in, one of the members goes down, and you'd think the fact that if you knock one of the Angry Men members, that the team would get less angry, but no, it gets even more mad the more of them that are down at the time. But TE weathering it, using these hillsides, jumping time and time again, exploiting the little bit of damage just to creep a bit closer. But the cost is, look at that armor.
Yeah, Crazy coming down off that hill was the correct play here. Now is the Expendables here starting to push up on that peak there. They're going to be able to pour over, but now 4AM has realized this, and they're repositioning here for the fight on the edge on the east.
Opposite siding, Na'Vi, oh no. Masters just cooking it. Bushwookie gonna toss it out. That's gonna be terrible for Na'Vi.
Oh.
2 members instantly dropped. That's gonna be some points going over for Forest. Feeling pretty good. They've gotta be careful though. Na'Vi just sent their other member straight into the center of the zone. And while they can take some shots at Master and he's gonna go down, there's not much that they can do for Uba.
Yeah, that was, no, actually he's going to survive. So he's going to get some points. He's going to find some meds as well. And this is a good position for now.
All right, 4 Angry Men says, okay, enough of this. We're going to have to contest what's going to be happening, but it's going to be TL taking shots on one side. TE just brute forcing this through. They say, look, we're done with fighting in the low ground. We're just going to push it up, force you out of this one. But the problem is, as they crest that hillside, everybody can see them, most notably Na'Vi, who's still caught up looking at Master right now, though. So that's an unexpected benefit for TE to have to deal with. Circle Pops, Na'Vi, and Tyloo, the only teams in it.
Tyloo has a lot of that road ridge there to play. As we see the Expendables, I mean, they've just been so impressive on this east side, fighting multiple teams, going through 17 first, now fighting their way through 4AM. But the problem becomes, where do they play once they do potentially wipe 4AM? There is not a lot to play on the east side of the road. Very little circle even in there for them to try to take hold of.
The strongest squad that we've got sitting right now is TE, but they're in tatters after everything that they've been having to put through. Tyloo trying to defend into the south, Na'Vi on the opposing side of it. You can kind of see Hillside still caught up in Master, man. They want this kill. It's a moral victory whenever they finally get to take him down, but there's a world where he gives it over the blue. TE, though, looks like they're starting to eye pathing back into the north, into kind of more of the Na'Vi pathing instead of relent, let 4AM. They did the damage. There's only 2 members there. Let's shift our perspective elsewhere.
There is like a little bit of a dip in there, but again, it's just so open. Na'Vi will very much be able to see that. And even Global Army, who's managed to stay alive this long, will have some angles. They finally get rid of Master. Na'Vi, though, in the best position currently that you could find yourselves in, as they now take shots towards Tyloo.
And this is problematic specifically.
Look at Global Army.
Yeah, he's got goals in life. If you want to talk about a team that has been surviving, you know, we talk about the land, loot, survive, and all that other stuff. They're epitome of that right now. They have been hunted, fought, crashed on, everything.
And 5 kills still, and in a, top 4 situation?
I wouldn't be surprised if they at least out-survive one of these teams. Nobody's expecting him to be coming into this one as 4 Angry Men's pathing, and now that Na'Vi isn't distracted, it's going to be a lot harder.
Still, Na'Vi, they are definitely the beneficiaries of these shifts. As the Expendables are starting to make their way in and using those vehicles, because there really is no cover in the circle. Tyloo desperately wants to find some of these knocks, some of these kills. They know they're going to have to move soon as well.
There is absolutely nothing expendable about the Expendables right now. 4 men still up, fighting their way in, and everybody's got focus in on them. But finally, Tyloo taking some shots into Na'Vi. This is a crested hillside fight, so it's just going to get more awkward as we move in. And keep in mind, 2 solos opposing sides of TE. But while this is happening, and TE had to kind of regroup and shift down, Longs has moved to the opposite side of that road. And did you see the tripod coming out there? That's scary.
Yeah, the MG when you're prone is absolutely disgusting. And speaking of which, Long's gonna find a nice spray there on a Tanvu, and this nade could actually get the second knock on 777. It's not close enough.
Yeah, it is at least going to take down 1 to make this a bit more of a fair fight. Tyloo's trying to hold it together. Circle control definitely not going to anybody right now. I'd say that Tyloo has
Tyloo and Na'Vi really
chunk of it, but you can't really control the circle so much as you can just kind of hunker down and shoot what comes at you.
Well, the remnants here of LG's crash is going to be really beneficial here for Tyloo. Again, Na'Vi is pretty much just stuck on a rock. Tyloo has quite a bit to actually play with, as the Expendables are just trying to stay alive with no cover here on that northeast side.
It was good for a while, but Delwyn just doesn't have a lot of options to path down.
No.
everybody's focus is on the Expendables right now, realizing that they've been running amok on everything that's been happening. So they're going to be trying to move through. Goes for the 360, gets to the tree. Can he get cover? Drops down. Still not in the circle, but close enough to feel better about it.
And HSMM is just still prone, looking for any opportunity. He's just trying to get points at this point. And he's gonna find one, but Longs will find him and get rid of him here. 7 kills on the side of Tyloo, just making it work.
Tyloo in first place right now, sitting at 28 points. Want to get even bigger lead on everybody that's going to be back behind and go for the spray across. And there we go. The Expendables finally down. Guess what? That means the Global Army kind of has a pathing point, but he has at least been spotted.
The fact that they're still alive.
I mean, respect. Oh, he hit Longs and knocked him on top of that. Now Tyloo has to come up and reinforce. Navi and Mel know where he is, but they don't have the cleanest sightline into it. Global Army is somehow making this game work for him.
That man is a hero.
He is.
That man is an absolute hero. Obviously not dealing with the smokes. That nade landing very close. He will be able to somewhat get away for now. He knows that he has a knock on Tyloo, but that timing in that window has closed, and now it's just going to be down to a 2v2 between Navi and Tyloo, and they are equal distance from that center.
Global Army, I feel, has been playing that entire game with the ringing in his heroes. It has just been nade upon nade. Now down into the 2v2, and oddly enough, they're pretty equal distance. I would say that Tyloo has a little bit closer of a position to the circle, the center spot. Navi has, I guess, a more controlled angle that they can play from, though. So the wreckage of vehicles being key factor, but also, yeah, no smokes.
No smokes really on the side of Navi. I imagine both of these teams are somewhat out of utility. As Example's going to eat a headshot. He was trying to bait there. Potentially trying to cover. Oh, Mel, he's going to go down. Example now, down to his solo. Blue at his back. Tyloo, are they going to win their second game here? No helmet as well.
Just trying to cling to life right now. That small difference in the blue zone is going to be big, but he uses this opportunity to reposition down. Example gets the knock on 1v1, clinging to life right now. Tyloo trying to use this rock, gonna go for the nade, throw it out. You can see opposing side of this just trying to feed information. It is going to be Example trying to creep forward, use whatever is being provided by Mel. Finally, he's gonna go down, creeping out. Example shifts to the south, trying to use that tree to block the sight line, creeping
those bushes though.
He knows blue zone now gonna be back behind Tyloo, and with this tree, that means Example actually has a close spot into the circle, goes for the spray, does get the knock on a 1. Example sitting on more life. This molly could be massive to get control over what's going to be happening. Peek, back and forth between opposite side. Shot's going to come out, and it's going to be Tyloo getting their second game.
And what a play there. That was a beautiful display. Navi as well trying to do their best, but a second win here for Tyloo, and what a start for the team.
I mean, and you gotta say they earned that. Nobody walks into that one with any circle advantage, any favor of any type. You are just fighting tooth and nail, as that has just been our third absolute banger game in a row.